OpenShift 3.11 is the cluster monitoring stack. This is a fully managed and installed stack of Prometheus Alert Manager and some other tools that are watching for your Kubernetes cluster and the applications that are running on top of it. Also new is the cluster status in our new cluster console. This is a high-level overview of what that monitoring system is seeing about your cluster. In this case, you can see some high-level status. Our API server is up, the console is up. We've got a lot of alerts firing. We maybe should investigate those. Our control plane status looks good. We've got our HA set up, our API servers, our controller managers, etc. are all running great. Then our capacity planning. We've got a pretty low CPU utilization, but it looks like our memory is a little high. Might need to investigate that as well. Now, underpinning all the data that you see here is the Prometheus stack, including some deeper dashboards for debugging what's going on. I'm going to jump over to Grafana here. This is logging me in with the same credentials that I have access to in the cluster, which is great, common authentication. Here is an example dashboard of the compute resources in the cluster. Here you can see my CPU and memory requests, as well as a breakdown by namespace for that CPU, as well as the memory. You can scrub forward and backwards through time, all the great features that you have in Grafana. Now, I mentioned that there are these 48 alerts that are firing. I've got some of these triggered so it looks fun, but let's go dig in and see exactly what those alerts look like. Red Hat engineers have curated a list of alerts that are pre-installed by default. You can see we've got a number of these firing, as well as the list of some that are all green. These are looking at monitoring the monitoring system itself, all the kubelets. Are you running out of disk space on your nodes? Are there too many pods? Is the scheduler down? Different daemon sets that can't be scheduled, high API latency, all these things that are really, really important. And here you can see that most of my alerts are firing for pods not being ready. This is across all the namespaces in the cluster. You could go debug each one of these with the teams that are using the cluster. Now, I mentioned teams are using the cluster, so I'm an admin, I can see across all projects on this cluster, but you can also dig into very specific ones. I'm going to look at this Red Hat test. This is putting my end user hat on. I would be able to see alerts that are firing for just the things in my namespace, and as well as seeing an event feed for some of the stuff that's going on. I've got some things that are having some issues, so I might want to go dig into that. Now, at the pod level, there's also a set of operational stats that you can get. So as the application developer needs to deploy their applications and then monitor them over time, I can see how much RAM I'm using, CPU shares, get a little bit more information about the container status. The nice thing about this is all of your teams that are going to use this cluster have the same granularity. They can scrub back and forth through time. They know that they get this default set of alerting and graphing capability. So it's a really nice way to have skill sharing between all of your teams, between all of your SREs, and it's all provided by the cluster and managed by Red Hat for you.